Hey friends and family, I hope you all had a good weekend. I certainly did. So this weekend I went with 2/3 of my classmates to take a pilgrimage to Medjugorje. And oh my gosh, I have so many fabulous things to tell you. My brain, I'm just so scatterbrained, you know. And I was like, well, maybe if I read from my journal, then that would help me be a little bit more organized. But then my journal is so scattered as well. So just you're gonna have to bear with me throughout this video, and maybe if I'm running out of time, I'll have to make another one. And I won't be able to tell you everything. Of course, I'll have to water down and shorten some things for the sake of the time limit of YouTube. But if you have any questions, feel free to message me. If you want me to elaborate on any stories, you can message me also, or I'll be home in about 4 weeks, so you can wait till then as well. So let's see. We left on Thursday night. We took a bus. We left on Thursday night to go to Medjugorje, and it took us, I think, anywhere between 10 and 12 hours. I think it was a drive. So we drove all night, and we got there Friday morning, and we stayed at this place called the Castle. I'm sure you guys saw in my pictures, it was this big stone castle. And these people who built it, their names are Nancy and Patrick. They're a lovely married couple, and I'm sure some of you Franciscan students have heard the story of Nancy and Patrick. They love to host Franciscan students, and just to make a very long story short, Patrick was this extremely successful car dealership owner in Canada, and basically he was Catholic by name, but didn't go to Mass, didn't ever teach his kids how to pray, never had his kids receive any of the sacraments, wasn't practicing, and as you can imagine, that led to lots of problems in their family life, until he stumbled across, or his wife Nancy stumbled across the book of messages of Our Lady of Medjugorje, and she handed it to Patrick and said, oh my gosh, there's these kids in Medjugorje who Our Lady is, appearing to them. And he was like, yeah, right. And she was like, okay, well, you know what, I'm not going to throw away the book. If you want to throw away the book, then it's going to be on your conscience. And he was like, kind of grumbling, all right, whatever. And so he opened the book and he's like, let me take a look at this. And of course there's lots of messages. And he's like, I'm just going to find the shortest one I can read, because it's probably just garbage anyways. And so he opens it up, he finds the shortest one, and Our Lady says, this is one of her messages, I'm calling you to conversion for the last time. And he said he just started bawling. So they sold everything, sold his business, sold his house, sold his cars, sold his boat. To make a very long story short, they picked up and they moved to Medjugorje, built this castle, and they've been housing pilgrims for the past maybe 16 years, I want to say. So that's the story, very, very short story of Nancy and Patrick. And anyways, you walk through this archway and you're kind of in the castle courtyard, and Nancy just runs up. She doesn't know any of us from Adam, but she grabs our faces and starts kissing us, and she says, welcome home, my children, welcome home. And I really felt like, I can't even explain to you, I've never felt so much love in my entire life in one single moment. It was, from another human being, of course. It was supernatural. I have to tell you, it was like I was standing in front of Our Lady, just feeling that openness and welcoming and love, and it was just great. And they fed us breakfast, and Nancy and Patrick, everything is Providence. They don't charge anything for us to stay there. It's like over 100 students. They didn't charge us a single penny. Everything is donation. Everything is Providence. And all their food is donated from other people. And it's just crazy. So anyways, me and this other girl, Katie, we both are both have gluten allergies. And so we're like, Nancy, they love to give you food. They just pile on the food. And so we kept having to refuse food because, of course, we can't eat cake, we can't eat bread, we can't eat pasta, we can't eat all these things that they were trying to offer us. So we went to Nancy and we're like, we feel bad, but we can't eat any of this food. And she was like, oh my gosh, no, I have something for you. And so they always had food for us. And it's funny because, like, maybe a week or so before we were even coming, a bunch of gluten-free food was donated. So it's like Our Lady knew Katie and I were coming. The Lord knew that Nancy and Patrick were going to need some gluten-free food to feed us with, and so it was donated, and they just happened to have gluten-free food lying around when Katie and I were there. So it's just kind of funny. So anyways, after we got fed, we had a tour guide. His name was Dragan, D-R-A-G-A-N, Dragan, like it's Croatian, so, but of course we just called him Dragan. We're like, oh, a dragon in the castle, like it was kind of a joke the whole time. But anyways, he gave us a tour, and he took us to the statue, and I have heard of this statue. Like, I've had friends who've gone to Medj, I have read things online about Medj, you know, and there's a statue, it's called the Risen Christ statue, I'm pretty sure, and there's this cross on the ground with kind of like, almost like an imprint of Christ's body, and then there's Christ, like, standing up from the cross, like he is literally rising off of this cross by himself. So when miracles first started happening in Medj, they just built this statue just so people could pray near it, and, you know, just kind of just putting more spots around the city for people to pray. And it's made completely of metal, no kind of stone, nothing porous, but one day they saw that water was dripping out of the right knee, and they thought, how is this possible? Like, you know, it's metal. There's no explanation for this. And it turns out they were trying to, they got a sample of the water. Scientists, everything have broken it down, and it's made of the same compounds as human tears. And my friend Jeff had shared with me, I have a cross, actually, a crucifix around my neck, and it has Our Lady mourning over Jesus, like on the cross, like a Pieta on the cross, and she is at his right side. And Jeff told me that when he was at the cross, he was asking the Lord, you know, well, why the right knee? That seems so random. Why the right knee? And the Lord told him it's because that's where Our Lady's tears fell when she was mourning her son on the cross. How powerful is that? So anyways, I've been dying to go to this cross. Ever since I've heard stories about it, I'm like, I gotta get to this cross. So Dragan told us, oh yeah, Risen Christ's statue is over there if you guys want to go see it. So there was kind of a line. It wasn't very long, considering lines that I've waited in at theme parks. It was really nothing. And people had handkerchiefs, and they're wiping off the knee, or they're blessing themselves with the water from the knee, etc. And I am like just amazed to be beholding this statue, like, oh wow. And so I wear a scapular, a brown scapular, and it has two medals on it. It has a Benedictine cross, and it also has the Infant of Prague. Holla, Children of the Lord. I got it in Prague very, very recently. It was silver when I bought it, and I put my scapular on that morning, like I do every day, and that was it. I mean, I'm putting it down, I'm adjusting it, I'm looking down, there's my little child Jesus, and there's my Benedictine cross, and I put my shirt on, and I went on to the tour. So anyways, flash forward, I'm waiting in line. I finally get to the statue, and they have a little step stool for shorter people so they can reach Christ's knee, because it's a pretty tall statue. And so I see this drop of water just appear, coming out of almost nowhere, appear on the knee. So I take my scapular, and I have all these rosaries in my hands too, because, well, it's just a cool thing to say that you had a rosary touched to Our Lady's tears, basically. But anyways, I wanted to actually wipe the tear away. So I took my scapular, and it's a little brown piece of wool, and I wiped it, and my medals, you know, are clanking against the knee because they're attached to it. And I wipe away this tear. And when I get down, I bless myself first, then I get down from the stool. And when I go to put my scapular back underneath my shirt, I realize my Infant of Prague medal has turned to gold, basically. And it was not like that morning. I just looked at it that morning thinking, oh, this is in good shape, but, you know, or, you know, just like, my little Jesus, I love thee. You know, I like to say that in the morning just because it's true. And so I know it was silver that morning. So here is a before and after picture. And I mean, there's really no explanation for it. You can say, oh, it looks tarnished, it looks like it's worn down. Yeah, but how did that happen within an hour? I got dressed that morning, and an hour later is when I was at the statue when that happened. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of skeptics out there, but there really is, there's no explanation. And whatever explanation you could come up with, I mean, what are the chances? You know, what's the probability of that actually happening within an hour? There's plenty of explanations, but it's like the chances of it happening, when you take that probability into consideration, it's like there's something divine going on there. So that is my first glory story, if you will, about Medjugorje. Let's see, what else can I tell you? We happened to be there on the Feast of the Annunciation, which is like, wow, how did we get lucky enough to do that? And the Feast of the Annunciation is also happens to be on the 25th of the month. And every 25th of the month, Our Lady gives the world a message. There's annual messages, monthly messages, and then every once in a while she'll just throw in a special message. So we actually got to be there when a visionary was receiving a message. So I'll just give you a little quick story. Some of you, I apologize, I should have started the video with this. A little history about Medjugorje. There are 6 visionaries, and it happened in the 80s, 81. These 6 children were around on the fields, and they saw Our Lady, and they got scared, so they ran away, and they didn't talk to her. They told their parents, and their mom gave one of the visionaries holy water, and they said, it might be the devil trying to trick you. So next time you see it, splash some holy water and say, if you are good, then you can stay and you can talk to us. But if you are evil, then in the name of Jesus, I ask you to leave. So they did this, and it was Our Lady, and she smiled, and she, I'm sure just adored that they were wanting to cast out the evil in their lives. But she presented herself as Our Lady, and then began to talk to them. So the 6 visionaries, right? Apparently, there are 10 secrets that Our Lady wishes to reveal to the visionaries, and once she has revealed all 10 secrets, she stops appearing to them daily. So, a lot of the visionaries no longer have daily apparitions of Our Lady. They only see her once a year. But there are still visionaries who do see her every single day. And so, again, on the 25th, this is how we're getting the messages from Our Lady. The people who have the daily apparitions on the 25th, they will give us a message that Our Lady has asked of them to communicate to us. And then I'm pretty sure the yearly ones, the visionaries who only see her once a year now, depending, I think they reveal those messages too. And if you want, I have a link to all those messages. You just click on this link. Actually, it has it in every different language, but this is the English link, and you can read them. Also, I will post them on my Facebook periodically. So, just a little plug for that. So yes, I'm sorry I didn't start off that video with this. I should have started it off. That's kind of a very shortened, watered-down version of the story. So, something really cool is we actually got to go see a visionary. I'm going super out of order. I'll have to come back to the other things I did that day. But we actually got to see one of the visionaries. Her name is Vitka, and she was just beaming. Oh my gosh, you can see in my pictures, we were super close to her actually. She was on this tiny little stage outside of her house, and she talked to us, and she talked to us about just the main messages of Our Lady, pray and fast and do penance, and really, we have such limited time on this earth, and we do need to be preparing ourselves for eternal life, and we do need to be praying that, for the conversion of sinners, and how important that is, especially the youth, she said. She said that the youth at this time are being especially spiritually attacked, and that it's ripping families apart, because you have parents who don't know what to do. You have parents who are getting divorced, you have parents, kids fighting with each other. It's just, she said, she really stressed that we need to pray for the youth, and that we really need to minister to the youth, and bring them back into the church, and make the church a place of home for them, you know. They need to find a home for their heart in the church. So that was something she really stressed. She really stressed fasting and saying that you get the most amount of graces from fasting. And then also praying the rosary, that the best weapon against the devil is the rosary. And so I'm running out of time. I'm going to cut this video off, and I will continue what I heard from Vika in the next video, so stay tuned.